Hi, welcome. This is Nicole Harris with AR Children Food Program. This is your CACFP yearly required training to participate with us at AR Children. Our goal is to stay strong in compliance this year. I want to start by apologizing for taking so long to get this out. It's been a crazy year, as I'm sure it has been for most of you. But this video is set up as just an on-demand video, so I have recorded it, and you may open this and you can pause it, you can rewind, you can fast forward, however you need to learn the information in this training. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can contact our office any day, Monday through Friday, from 8:30 to 4:30. You can call if you have questions. If you have questions about this training, I would ask that you contact me at nicole@ar-children.com. And welcome. And a lot of you ask, who are we? And we are your child care sponsor. So we help to provide you with the training and the tools that you need to be successful in the CACFP. And each of us have a different role at AR Children, but our ultimate goal is just to be here to serve you and to help you to be successful with the program. So a couple of things about this training is that I want to welcome you. I want to tell you why this training matters and what hopefully you'll be learning here today. So USDA requires annual CACFP training. And why is this? Well, it helps to protect your reimbursement and also helps to ensure that our children are getting adequate nutrition in your care. And you will see attached to your email, you should have a training checklist. It should be dated, this one says 2022, it should be dated to 2025. So please make sure you're using the 2025 checklist. But it's very important that I get a checklist back from each site to go into your file to show that you are in compliance with CACFP and you understand the requirements to participate. This goes into your file so when we are audited from the state or from the federal government, they can see that you have been trained and you understand the rights and responsibilities of us as your sponsor and also of you. So please, after you completed watching this video, please take the time to fill out this training checklist and send that back to me as soon as possible. Please return as soon as you can. I know that I haven't given you a whole lot of time with this, but if you could get it to me by September 29th, I would be very, very much appreciated, and that way you can get your PDR credit. I need it by the end of the month regardless, so you can stay in compliance with us as your sponsor. Also, I did not include, but there is also a Q&A. And the Q&A is just important because I want to know that you took the time to actually watch the video and that you understood some of the things that I brought up during the video. And I will need one of these for each person that would like to receive PDR credit. And please make sure that after you fill that out, that when you sign your name, that you give me the name that's on the PDR registry and the correct PDR number. Unfortunately, I don't have access to any of that information, and they won't let me ask, what if I know your name and what center you're with, what your PDR number is. So you have to provide me with that information, and that's the only way that you'll get credit to show up on your PDR is if I have the correct PDR number. Okay? So our agenda today is just to go over those required training topics that we're supposed to go over every year, talk about any updates and review of the CACFP, talk about our record keeping, our meal planning, and civil rights, so that you will be in compliance for this new year. So I want you to make sure that you understand all the requirements to participate in CACFP with us as AR Children as your sponsor. And like I said, we're here to serve, so don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions about anything during this program. So for today's training, I'm going to go back to something I did a couple years ago with two truths and a lie. You'll see 3 statements on the slide. 2 of them are true and 1 is false. You will see A, B, or C above each statement. Decide what you think is the lie and put the corresponding think about it. You can just say it out loud to yourself. It's fine. But a lot of these questions that you see are going to be the same questions that are on your Q&A. So there's you a hint. So 2 truths and a lie. So our first one is notification. Which is the lie? Notify AR Children if you will be closed for any reason. Must include with the claim a written note after returning from vacation. Notify AR Children if you make any changes to your program. So the correct answer is B. We don't need a written note after returning from vacation, but please give us that prior notification. Please let us know that, hey, I am going to be on vacation from this day to this day, and my daycare center will be closed. It's very important that we're always in the know. So if anyone from the state or the federal government were to come out to your site to do, a review, an unannounced review, and no one is there, then they're going to contact us, and that makes us look bad if we cannot tell them, oh well, they notified us and let us know they were going to be closed. Now, what happens if you walk into your center this morning and you're like, oh gosh, we can't open. We don't have any electricity. We don't have any water, whatever that might be. Please let us know. If you are going to be closed and not serving a meal for any reason, please let us know. You can do that by calling our office and leaving a message with Kristen or Mona, or you can shoot either of them an email. But please keep us updated. Okay, what about things that need to be posted in your center? In the past, we've talked about, having a parent board with all the information for your parents. So on that board, should you have a Justice for All poster and a non-discrimination statement must be posted? B, weekly or monthly menus must be posted? Or C, nothing has to be posted in your child care center? Well, that one's pretty obvious that it's C. Nothing has to be posted in the child care center, because we know that we must have our Justice for All poster posted, a non-discrimination statement must be posted. You must have a Building for the Future poster, WIC fact sheets, and your menu, what you're planning on serving. So again, this is what the Justice for All poster looks like. We are still using this older poster. We have not received any new posters from the state of Arkansas, but I promise when we do, we will get those out to you as soon as we can. Remember that the non-discrimination statement, make sure you have the newest updated one. It includes the gender identity and sexual orientation. So that is included on that non-discrimination statement. The Building for the Future looks like this, and this is a state requirement, so please make sure you have this posted. If you do not have a copy of it, just contact us and we can email that out to you. And attached to this this email, you should have the newest updated WIC fact sheet. If you don't have that, please let us know as well. But it's very important that you update this, because as you can see, the income guidelines change yearly. So every June, they will come out with we come out with our new rates, and the WIC comes out with their new income guidelines. And so as of July 1, you would be using a new guidelines. So please make sure that you go check right now, go look at your board and make sure you have the newest updated one posted. If not, print that off and please hang that up so it'll be ready for your next review. And a menu. The state has made it very clear that they want you to be prepared and planning ahead. for what you're going to be serving, and to let the parents know what you're going to be serving. So it's important that you plan your menus. You can do this daily, you can do this weekly, you can do this monthly. It doesn't matter to me, but it just needs to be posted and you need to be following it. Now, if you come in today and say, okay, let's see, today is, what is today? Tuesday? And you have, or say just Monday. Let's see, you have 1% milk, pears, and a biscuit. Well, oh my goodness, I don't have any more pears, but I have all these bananas that are about to turn. So I think I want to have bananas today. Is that okay to do? Yes, of course. It's fine to substitute. Just make sure when you go to put it on your production records, we want to know what you actually serve, not what you plan to serve, okay? So this menu is just what you're planning to serve. And if you actually serve bananas today, then you would put bananas on your production records, okay? All right, and here again, here's an example of the one that I have in our office, just to show you all the things that should be posted on your parent board. And it's fine to include other things that you would like to include, but these are the things that we're supposed to be looking for when we come out to do a review. Remember for any new families, that you are using the newest updated letter to the parents, and that should also be attached to this email. And it'll have the guidelines for 2025-26 at the bottom. So please make sure you're using the newest updated letter to parent for any new families that are joining your program. Obligation to serve infant. Remember that we have to have one of these for every infant in your care. And infants are 0 to 12 months. So you only have to get this one time. You don't have to, unless they're changing information. But for most of you, just one time for all of your infants. It's going to list the name of the child and then the type of formula that you're offering. Remember, as a participant in the CACFP, you are required to provide for infants. So you're required to offer one type of formula. Now that parent can decline that formula and decide need to decide whether they would like to provide the formula instead, or if they would like to provide breast milk for their child. But just make sure that you list the type of formula that you're offering. It must be an iron fortified infant formula. We do not care what brand it is. I know most of you probably use like a Parent's Choice, and that is great. It does not have to be a name brand, Similac or Enfamil. It doesn't have to be anything like that. It just has to be an iron fortified infant formula. And so that parent will accept it or decline it. And then when they're around 6 months of age is when they're going to start having solid foods, and that's when you're going to start introducing cereals and fruits and vegetables. And the parent's going to accept or decline that. And if they decline it, then they're going to say, I'm providing, all the food for my infant. Okay. So just make sure that you have one of these forms and you send a copy to our office to be filed. So for every infant in your care, make sure that we have an obligation to serve an infant. So what about the enrollment forms? The child enrollment forms. Meals are not reimbursable until completed child enrollment form is on file at AR Children's Office. A copy of each child enrollment form must be also kept with your records and readily available for review. And a child enrollment form includes information on the child's medical history. So the truths are A and B, so the lie is C. We do not need any of the child's medical history. We will talk about the medical forms here in a minute, but it doesn't have anything to do with the enrollment. So to be enrolled, remember we need an enrollment form on every child in your care. They're good for 1 year from the date of the parent's signature. And make sure that you initial and date the form in the top right-hand corner. And that is so important because what you're doing is that you're signing off on this information, that you're saying to the best of your knowledge, this is all true, and you're signing off and you're dating it. Make sure you're using the newest updated form. And I know that this can be difficult sometimes for you larger centers that have lots of kids that you're enrolling every month, and so they're expiring every month, so you have to get new enrollment forms every month. If you need any help with that, contact Mona or Kristen, and they can send you what we have. Mona has been very diligent about building a spreadsheet to track all of your children, and they will say when they were enrolled and when they're going to expire, so you'll know when you need a new enrollment form. I also, every year, I recommend that you set up an anniversary date and say, okay, July 1, August 1, October 1, whatever month you want to, I'm going to renew all my enrollments. So that way it's just like an enrollment date every year. And that makes it a little bit easier, especially because once you get kids in, they usually stay for, 5 or 6 years. So that way you're not having to track down parents every month to get enrollments. So just an idea for you. But please make sure that these are complete. They're filled out completely. They've been signed and dated. And remember, they're only good for 1 year. Okay, this is the medical statement. Now, do we need a medical statement on every child? No. Only the ones that the parents would like for you to make changes to your menu. So your planned menu. So here's what you're planning on serving for the month. You show the parent. Is there anything, does your child have allergies? Is there something that you want me to substitute? If they're wanting you to make changes to your menu, then you need one of these medical statements. They're very important because you're getting them filled out by a medical professional, and that medical professional is going to tell you the things that you need to omit from your menu for that child and what you should substitute in its place. It's very important now with all the new milks that are out there that if a parent comes in requesting you to give that child almond milk or oat milk or something like that, that you have this medical statement to cover you. Unfortunately, those type milks are not nutritionally equivalent to cow's milk. So we want to make sure that we are serving the most nutritious choices to our children. So if you do have several children that do have milk allergies, I would recommend offering a soy-based option. And you can purchase nutritionally equivalent soy-based options, and you can serve those instead for the children with allergies. Or if they're lactose intolerant, then you could just offer a lactose-free option that would still be nutritionally equivalent. And for those, if you are providing nutritionally equivalent milks, you do not have to have a medical statement to provide those to those children. So with your record keeping, menu and meal count records must be completed at the beginning of each day. Menu and meal count should be kept on file in your home or center for review by AR Children, the state, and USDA. That really should say center, not home. I also train family daycare homes, so I did not change that. See, menu and meal count records must match the name of each child present for the meal served and the meal component served. So which one is the lie? It would be A. You do not need to be filling out your menus before you serve them. Okay, that's a big no-no. You need the big term nowadays is POS, or point of service. Records must be done at the point of service of each meal, not prior to the meal. And when we come out to do a review, say we come out at lunchtime and you have not done breakfast, you have not recorded breakfast or lunch. Technically, we would need to disallow breakfast because breakfast has passed and you're already serving lunch, and you should have recorded who you served for breakfast at the point of service. I do know that it gets busy and crazy, and I do like to show grace. So I would say that if you haven't, I would want to see that you have at least till PM snack for the day before. And then I would encourage you to go ahead and mark off breakfast and lunch while I'm there before I leave, and that the PM snack is done before you leave that day. But The state really wants you to see you mark these children off, that you serve them each meal when you serve them. So you go around with your plates. You hint, here's one for Bobby. Here's one for Catherine. Here's for Susanna. And you mark them off. They got their breakfast. They got their lunch. They got their PM snack. So it's at the point of service. Recording your daily meal count is a food program requirement. In order to be reimbursed for meals and snacks, your serving meal counts and meal records needs to be up to date and completed daily by the end of each day. So think about how you incorporate in this into your everyday routine, and who's responsible. I know some of you are in larger centers, so that you have multiple people involved in your food program. Whose responsibility is it to make sure that these meals are recorded in a timely manner? Okay, here's another truth and lies about meal service. A, asking a child if he or she wants breakfast counts as participation in the meal. All meal components must be offered at the same time at the beginning of the mealtime. And C, family-style meals are allowed in the CACFP. So which one is the lie? It's A. Each child must be offered. I know. There are some kids that they don't want it. And they're like, I don't want that. And I'm sorry, and I know it's hard, but they must be offered all the components for a reimbursable meal or a snack. So you have to, fix their plate with a minimum. All you have to put is the minimum requirements on their plate and put it in front of them. And then they will choose to eat the food or not. Okay? And everyone should have a copy of this meal patterns for children. Most of you have been in long enough that you should have received one on a clipboard, like a red clipboard, and I laminated it for you. If you don't have one, let us know, and I will make sure that you get one. But it's just a great thing to have hanging in your kitchen, so you can refer to if you have questions, you can't remember how much you're supposed to serve of one thing or another, or if you have someone else that's helping in the kitchen. This is a good reference guide to have in the kitchen. So it tells you the minimum requirements for 1 to 2 year olds, 3 to 5 year olds, and 6 to 12 year olds for breakfast, for snack, and then for lunch. So these are so important, like I was saying earlier, about just pre-plating those plates with the minimum of everything. Now, say that child, you give them that plate, they eat what's on their plate and they want more. Of course, it's always okay to give them more. But we want to start out with the minimums of everything to give them options, to try everything. Because a lot of the problems I see when you ask the kids, what they want, are letting them choose what they want, is they're going to get a lot of one item and then maybe not get another item. So we want to make sure that they are starting out with the minimums of all the different food groups and encouraging them to try every food group before they get seconds of another food group. Okay, what about the milk? Children ages 12 to 23 months must be offered whole milk. Flavored milk is credible for children of any age, and milk is not required component at snack under the CACFP. Okay, the lie on that one would be B. Flavored milk is not credible at any age anymore. Okay. It's only credible for school-age children ages 6 and up. And to be honest, I would just stay away from flavored milk altogether at your center, because I know most of you, even if you do have 6 and up come in like after school, or they're there all day in the summer, they're also around the preschoolers. And, it's just so not fair for the preschoolers to see them getting chocolate milk and they can't have it. I just can see lots of arguments about that. It's not fair, So I would recommend that you just don't. But if you have a completely separate after school program where they are not around the toddlers and the preschoolers, then that's fine. After school you could offer chocolate milk to your school age kids, or in the summer programs. Okay. Arkansas Children takes many steps to ensure that accuracy of claims submitted, and these steps include some of the following. Except we make sure that meal service includes credible foods. We review any special diet statements that we have on file, and we require updated household income statements each month. Well, that one's pretty easy. You should know that that's C. We've already talked about that. Those forms must be completed annually, not monthly. Now, Mona will check to make sure that we have one every month, because when she gets your claim in, she's going to go down and see all the kids that you've claimed that month and make sure that we do have the forms on those kids. So in that respect, we do check them monthly, but you only have to update them and send them in yearly. Okay, a child with a milk allergy requests rice milk and has a signed special diet statement on file. The provider is required to provide the rice milk unless it's financially burdensome. Is this true or is this false? This is actually true. Because this child has that medical condition and has the signed medical statement, the provider is required to make those necessary accommodations unless it's prohibitively expensive to the provider to accommodate. And an example might be like, I don't know if there's some special things that milks that doctors, that the parents have to get through their doctors, and they can be quite expensive. So it's okay to have parents provide, one item. But if it's something that is not financially burdensome for you, then you need to be providing that for those children. And here's a notification to just remind you about substituting milk, things that you need to know, and about milk substitutions. And feel free to pause this and read through this. And a lot of these have questions and answers to help you when you are trying to decide about milk substitutes. What about almond milk? That's like the past couple years, it's been a very hot topic. But let me just tell you, almond milk is not nutritionally equivalent to cow's milk. So why can't I claim almond milk without a special diet statement? Because it's not nutritionally equivalent. That's the biggest thing. And so if a parent is wanting you to provide something it's not credible, then you have to have that medical statement that says, the doctor says this is the type of milk that my child needs. And there are some credible non-dairy alternatives like the soy. And I don't know if any of y'all use Ripple milk. I heard about that at the national meeting a couple of years ago. That a lot of other states, this milk is available as a milk substitute. Okay, what about CN labels? Are you required to have a CN label? And what foods are eligible? You are required to have a CN label for any item that you're trying to claim for 2 food components. So think about all of those frozen breaded items like chicken nuggets and fish sticks and things like that. The frozen pre-made pizzas, anything that you're trying to count like for your meat and your bread. Okay. And where do you find them? And I know it's hard, y'all. I really do. I think that it's getting a little bit better, but it's still harder in small town Arkansas. I'll just be honest, unless you use a food distributor, which I do encourage. If you are a larger center, get some prices and just shop around and see how much it would cost for like a Benny Keith, a Cisco, a Quality Foods, one of those places to deliver food to your center, because you can ask them to provide you with a list of CN label products that they sell, and they will provide you with a CN label. And every box that you get from them, on the actual cardboard box on the end, should have that rectangle label that has the CNs on all four sides. And they're really important, because they're going to tell you how much of the product is meat and how much of the product is bread. And also will help you to determine how many you need to give each child based on their age. Okay? So I know a lot of people have questions about this, and how do you use them, and how do you read them? And is this label that I have credible or not? Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions about specific items. All of us have these little smartphones in our hands nowadays. So just, snap a picture of that label, send it to Mona, Kristen, or myself, and say, okay, hey, is this credible? Yes, no. Okay, if it is, how many am I supposed to be giving each child? So for this example, it says 4 processed fish sticks. They are 1 ounce each, but they provide 2 ounces of meat or meat alternate and 1 ounce of grain for child nutrition meal pattern requirements. So 4 sticks is equivalent to 2 ounces of meat and 1 ounce of grain. So using that, then you would know that your 1 to 2 year olds need 2 fish sticks to get their 1 ounce equivalent of meat and their 1/2 ounce equivalent of grain. And your 3 to 5 year olds need to get 3 fish sticks, and your 6 year olds need to get at least 4 fish sticks. So, and this is very helpful for the chicken nuggets and other breaded items. And yes, if you can cut the CN label off of the product package, you can take a picture of it, and you can copy it on, make a photocopy. But please make sure that you keep a CN label on file for every product that you're serving in your center, okay? More than likely, if I come out to do a review, I'll remind you and say, okay, do you have your CN labels on file? Okay, great. But then I see, okay, you're having chicken nuggets today. All right, can I see the CN label for those chicken nuggets that you're serving today? And you should be able to pull those up and show me. Now, the state or the federal government, when they come out to do a review, if they're looking at your month, they may look at every item that you served that month that you said had a CN label, and you need to produce those CN labels so that they can compare to make sure that you served enough, okay? And also, just to make it easier on us and Mona that's checking your menus, if you had like Gordon's fish sticks today, or you had Tyson Dino nuggets, when you put chicken nuggets on your production record, put a capital C, capital N beside it. So that way we know that you have a CN label on file, and you know that you're counting that as your CN label. And then also, if you on the bread line, you can just put CN. So if you don't have to offer another bread, because if, just like you saw with this those chicken nuggets, these fish sticks, there was enough bread to meet the bread requirements. So you would put chicken nugget CN on the meat or meat alternate line, and then you could just put CN on the bread line, okay? And just make sure that you have that on file. And then also, sometimes that these would also be a whole grain, and if that's the case, you're going to put a CN/WG. So these are chicken nuggets that you do have a CN label for, but they also are a whole grain chicken nugget, and so I'm claiming that as my whole grain item for the day. Okay. So we've talked about the juice or not to juice in the past, but just to review, fruit or vegetable juice may be served up to 3 times per week to meet the fruit or vegetable requirement. Now, it's actually once per day as a federal requirement. So it must be 100% fruit or vegetable juice, and juice is not credible for infants. So they have to be over a year of age, and then you'll have to follow the meal patterns of how much is required. And we also try to look at the pediatric guidelines when they're determining what can and cannot be served on CACFP. So the American Pediatric Guidelines says that a 1 to 3 year old, they don't need more than 4 ounces of juice per day. A 4 to 6 year old doesn't need more than 6 ounces, and a 7 to 18 year old doesn't need more than 8 ounces per day. And the reason for that is because it takes so much fruit to get the juice. So how many apples make 4 ounces of juice? It takes 1.5 apples to make 4 ounces of juice. And think about that. If you were offered 4 ounces of juice or 1.5 apples, what would you rather eat for a snack? If you're hungry, I would think most of you would choose, the apples over the juice. And when you do choose those apples, you're getting additional benefits. So full strength 100% fruit or vegetable juice may count towards the entire fruit or vegetable component at 1 meal per day, including snacks. Okay, so back to that. I would say anytime you can do whole fruits and vegetables, I would. And every year y'all ask for more snack ideas. I just want you to know you've got this, the computer that you're watching this on, the phone you're watching this, watching this on. There's just so many great websites, so many great ideas out there. And this is just one that I found on Pinterest. And if you want to pause that and jot down some of those snack ideas, if that you want to have milk today for snack, what's something I could do with it? Here's some ideas. I want to have a meat or meat alternate. Here's some ideas with meat or meat alternates. Oh, this one was cute. Like I said, I found this on Pinterest. It's just a cute yogurt bowl with lots of healthy fruits and Greek yogurt. And kids will think it's so cute and so fun, and they'll be excited about snack time. Here's some that I found with vegetables. Here's some that I found with fruits. And here is a budget savvy sample menu. This is put out by the CACFP.org. That helps you to plan your week. And this is a great tool that's out there that you can use to help with your meal planning. Mix and match. Try your best to choose from different components. Remember, you have to have one component from 2 different food groups for snack. But try to mix and match as much as you can. Try to introduce as many new fruits and vegetables as you can, whole grain, to these kids. Remember that the healthiest meals that they're going to receive is probably when they're in your care. So we want to give them a good start and introduce them to as many wonderful foods as we can while they're young. The USDA also the Food and Nutrition Services. You can go to through Team Nutrition. There's lots of great menu ideas, and they're great because you can. It'll give you for ages 3 to 5 how much time it will take, and it's going to make 6 servings. So this is going to help you to meal plan, give you some more ideas. Let's see if this is going to work. Oh, I'm so sorry, that one didn't work. So that was just a little on USDA. There's some really cute videos that are along with the recipes that shows you how to put the recipe together. And then here's that CACFP.org. There's lots of great free resources on there for you that you can download and print and use in your daycare. And these are also on there that are really cute that you could print out, or you can make up your own questions, and you could laminate them and have them in the center of the table, maybe in a basket. And when everyone is seated and they're having their lunch and You just want to bring up a conversation starter. You could draw one out of the basket and then let all the kids share and make mealtime a fun, enjoyable time for your kids. Okay, the next thing, that slide was messed up. The next thing that I want to talk about is Team Nutrition. It's an initiative of the USDA Food and Nutrition Services that supports us in the CACFP and the National School Lunch and the school breakfast programs. The goal of Team Nutrition is to improve children's lifelong eating and physical activity habits through nutritional education based on the principles of the Dietary Guidelines for America. It does so through training and technical assistance for those preparing and serving meals, providing nutrition education for children, and building support for healthier schools and childcare environments. So I got a lot of this information from Team Nutrition, but I wanted to bring to your attention that on April 25th, 2024, USDA published the final rule that child nutrition programs meal pattern considerations with the 2025 Dietary Guidelines for America, which finalize practical, science-based, long-term school nutrition requirements based on the goal of the Dietary Guidelines. So, a lot went into this, and while school meal standards are impacted to the greater degree through the final rule, there are some certain provisions that also impact us. So for CACFP, this final rule updates that current limits on total sugars in breakfast cereals and yogurt cereals is limited on added sugar. So this will align more with the school meal program. So we have already successfully implemented product-based sugar limits, as you know. So we've already been looking at our total sugars, but now this change is mainly just going to look at your breakfast cereals and your yogurts, and we're going to be looking at the added sugar. So by October 1st, so that's the main reason why we're talking about this today, is you are going to be required to follow these product-based added sugar limits. Breakfast cereals must contain no more than 6 grams of added sugar per dry ounce, and yogurts must contain no more than 12 grams of added sugar per 6 ounces. In other words, 2 grams of added sugar per ounce. The current total sugar limit for breakfast cereals and yogurts will remain in place through September 30th. But we're getting close. It's already September. So with state agency approval, the CACFP operators may choose to implement earlier. So I would like for you to just make sure, start looking at your cereals now. Look at the yogurts that you're serving now and make sure that they still are in compliance with this new added sugar requirement. Okay? So we, if you want to scan this QR code, it will take you to Team Nutrition to give you more information about that. But I want to talk about this tip sheet that they have put out. I'm going to attach to this email that was with the video. But it just says tips by October 1st, breakfast cereals must contain no more than 6 grams of added sugar per dry ounce. You can use any cereal that's listed on your WIC approved list. So that's just the easiest. Guys, you go into Walmart, any of the Walmarts in our state, and underneath the cereal, there's a sticker that says WIC. If it has a WIC under it, then you know that cereal is in compliance and it's credible on the CACFP program. So there's different steps that you can take. So let's take a closer look at each step. The number 1, you can use the nutrition fact label to find the serving size in grams of the cereal. Number 2, so we'll try it out. What's the serving size? Okay, look at this one. 15 servings per container. Serving size is 3/4 of a cup or 30 grams. So our answer would be right, 30 grams. Very good. Find the added sugar line and look at the number of grams next to the added sugar. Okay, so we know this has 30 grams in it, but how much of that is sugar? Well, there's 5 grams of total, but 4 grams of added sugar. So how much is added sugar? 4 grams, right? So then if you use this chart and look at the serving sizes, then if you use the serving size, so look at the serving size, and we saw that it was, 30 grams. So it can have no more than how much of added sugar? So you look at the 26 to 30, and it has 6 grams. So no more than 6 grams of added sugar. So is this cereal credible? Yes, it is, because it has less than 6 grams of added sugar per serving. So y'all try it out. Here's a great granola cereal. The serving size is 2/3 a cup or 55 grams. And how much added sugar? Has 10 grams of added sugar. And, just by looking at that, I would have said, no, that's too much sugar. But if you use our chart, because it's 55 grams is a serving, then it has 12, you can have up to 12 grams of added sugar. So yes. What about these Fruity Flakes cereal? So look, you can look and say they have 37 grams, 37. So no more than 8 grams of added sugar. This one has, 12 grams of added sugar? So no, this one would not be credible because it contains too much added sugar. So things to remember is the servings per the container and the serving sizes. Are there breakfast cereals available that meet the updated nutrition requirement? Have food manufacturers committed to formulate products that support these changes? As we know in the past, they want you to buy their cereals. So they are going to do what they can to make their cereals meet the USDA requirements. So USDA has verified that there are products currently available to meet the product-based added sugar limits offered by popular brands for breakfast cereals and yogurts. An easy way to identify breakfast cereals, we've already talked about, was the WIC approved list. And I'm sure that there will be more added in months to come. So what are added sugars? According to USDA, added sugar includes sugars that are added during the processing of the food. So as we know, cereals are already heavily processed, and so then things are, when they're added to them, it's not good. It's not good, and especially if there's a lot added. But it does not include the naturally occurring sugars that are found in milk, fruit, and vegetables. Does it apply to hot breakfast cereals? It does. The added sugar limit applies to hot breakfast cereals. Often the prepared hot breakfast cereals that meet the added sugar limits are sweetened by added sugar, syrup, or honey. And these items are added sugar and should be used in moderation. Try using fruit, spices, or nut butters to flavor your own hot cereal instead of buying the heavily processed ones that have it included. So as I mentioned, Team Nutrition is where this resource came from. You can visit it at teamnutrition.usda.gov, and there's all kinds of handouts and posters that you can print out and use and in your center. And also these are great to communicate with your parents. Also, if you go, there's a place that you can order posters, and they'll actually send you free posters that you can hang up in your child care center. And remember, this is the Little Rock, I mean, not Little Rock, Arkansas's WIC cereal list, and it also is going to tell you if they're higher in whole grain. So whether they're whole grain and do they meet the sugar limits. So after this video, please make sure and go check all of your cereals that you're currently serving and check your yogurts as well. Okay. The next thing we want to talk about is just infant menus. And the main thing about the infants that I wanted to talk about is when that child is developmentally ready for solid foods, we need to be seeing that you are serving and offering to that child every day for every meal. Okay. And remember, this is a more detailed, but also that the back of that laminated sheet has the infant meal patterns as well. And the developmental readiness, remember the child can sit in a high chair with good head control, opens mouth when food comes their way to reach for food, and uses tongue to move food from their spoon into their mouth to swallow the food without pushing it out. And it's really important that you work with the parents and with the pediatrician to determine when that child is developmentally ready. Every child is different, and this is one of those regulations that I was really excited to see because every child develops at a different time. You know, I think sometimes 4 and 5 month olds are ready for solids, and then there's some that are not ready until they're 8 or 9 months, and that's okay. But I always thought it was odd that USDA said that at 6 months they had to have solid foods, but not all babies are ready. So this is a great step, I believe. So just make sure that child is developmentally ready to start solid foods. And when they are, we need to see that you're offering it at every meal. Okay. And we don't want to be giving it before they're ready, if it's too early. So if you feel they're not ready, the parent, the doctor, then you do not, just wait. They'll get there. So is baby Jonathan developmentally ready for solid foods? Baby Jonathan is 5.5 months old. He can sit with his mom holds him tight, but he does not have good head or neck control. Then he's probably not ready. Oh, well, that was weird. I'm so sorry. He's probably not ready because he does not have good head control, but it's probably coming soon. Baby Kara is 5.5 months old. She can sit up with her own with little assistance, has good head control, keeps reaching for food when it's near. When baby Kara tries a bite of food, she was able to move it to the back of her throat to swallow. So she probably is ready for solid foods. So like I said, every kid's different, okay? If you serve the baby solid food at 5 months, can you still claim reimbursement for their meals and snacks? Yes. From everything I read, they're still recommending that the child gets iron fortified infant cereal for the whole first year of life. But I do realize that there comes a time that sometimes they're 10, 11 months old, and they're like, I don't want this cereal anymore. I want what the other kids are eating. Well, it's okay at that point to give them, something else in its place, like fish or poultry or meat or a whole egg or dried beans or cheese or cottage cheese. Things like that. Yogurt, you can give those in place of. But I would recommend that you keep them on the iron fortified infant cereal as long as you can. This talks about the iron fortified infant cereal. Oops. Okay. We talked about the cereals, but also you need to also make sure that your yogurts are credible with the added sugar. And remember, we're talking about infants still. We do not offer them juice. And here's some tips for feeding baby solid foods. I know in the past I have given out this feeding infant guide. If for some reason you do not have a copy of this and would like a copy, you can get one from teamnutrition.usda.gov. You could also ask Kristen if we have any more in our office. I'm sure she wouldn't mind mailing you one. But the last I checked, I only had a couple of them. There's also posters that say breastfed babies are welcome here. There's a whole bunch of great resources on Team Nutrition. Okay, back to 2 truths and a lie. Tell me, for reimbursement, you may be reimbursed for a maximum of 2 snacks and 1 meal, or 2 meals and 1 snack per child per day. The amount of reimbursement you receive is based on a 3-tiered system, and reimbursement rates are adjusted by the USDA annually. This question is a little bit tricky because for daycare centers, there really is a 3-tiered system, but it's a blended rate on what you receive based on the kids that are free, reduced, and paid. But it doesn't matter how the kids qualify. As long as 25% of your center qualifies for free or reduced, all of your kids are being reimbursed for the food program. Okay. Eating well. Oh, this one I was going to. There's a ton of cute sesame workshop videos out there on YouTube, and there's some really fun ones that get your kids moving that I've talked about in the past, and about eating well. I don't know if any of you have watched those, but if you haven't, I'm just encourage you to go back and look at some of those cute videos and share with your kids. I don't think that one's going to play either. And I hope that you all have been enjoying getting the newsletters. That was one of my big goals, and I'm so thankful for Kristen and her commitment to helping me get these newsletters out. But if you ever have anything that you would like to include in the newsletter, or you have photos, you have menu ideas, or something that just went really well and you want to share with other providers, please don't hesitate to email that to Kristen so she can include those in our on our next newsletters. Okay, updates. Whole grain. You must serve 1 whole grain per day. All the grains you serve in your daycare center must be whole grain. And whole grains are rich in fiber, healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals. Okay, yes, you must serve 1 whole grain per day. No, all the grains you serve in your daycare home, they do not have to be whole grain, or your daycare center. And I think that that's been one of the biggest things that I've seen. It's like that everybody wants to go all in or not at all. It's like you go into a daycare and every grain they're serving is a whole grain, or they're not serving whole grain at all. Okay? Guys, you have to have at least 1 per day. And please indicate what you are claiming as your whole grain by put a WG beside that on your production record. That way, it makes it very easy for Mona or for Kristen to look through those menus and say, okay, they served a whole grain every day to meet that requirement. Okay? Why are whole grain rich items required daily at meals and snacks? Well, dietary guidelines recommend half of all grains be whole. Whole grains are rich in fiber, healthy fats, and vitamins and minerals. And we want to give quality over quantity. Because I do feel like grains are one of the things that you don't have trouble getting kids to eat. So we want to make sure that we give them the best quality of grain instead of giving them a large quantity. And I know that we've talked about the last 2 years about the ounce equivalent. So hopefully y'all have already implemented this in to your daycare center. If you haven't and you have questions about it, it's mostly just a name change. Most of the portion sizes have remained the same, or they're very similar. But if you have questions, this is, whoops, I'm sorry, I went too fast. Go back one. On Team Nutrition, there is a training workbook that kind of shows you step by step about ounce equivalents. And we went through this very detailed in our last 2 trainings. So I'm not going to spend as much time on it, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention to make sure that this has been implemented and that you're following the ounce equivalents when you're serving your grains, okay? And I'm going to just kind of go through these slides kind of quickly, but feel free to pause and read through them if you have questions, and reach out if you have questions that are not answered off of these slides, okay? I feel like that since I've read all of this to you in years past, you probably don't want me to sit here and read everything to you. So I'm just going to go through them so you can see how to use the charts. And just like anything, don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions about things. And I think the biggest thing you'll see is that it's about the same as what you had been doing. It's just a different way of looking at it, but it's still the same amount. And I think that the crackers and the pretzels and things like that, that's what I get asked a lot, is how many do I need to give them? Well, it kind of depends on the size and the stuff, but so here's a great little chart that you can use to determine if they how many you need to give. And when you were signed up, or if you were in the training, it was probably 5 or 6 years ago, that I made a chart of the most common ones that I've had seen. And so how many pretzels you should give to a 1 to 2 year old, a 3 to 5, and then a 6 to 12. So that one shows you that the 8-year-old needs to get at least 14 of them. And 14, I mean, that's not very many, and the kids are probably going to eat more than that. But we just want to always make sure that we start out with those minimum requirements. And I hope that a lot of you are already using your food buying guide. But if you're not, remember that you can access it on your computer or on an app on your phone. And it's just a great tool to figure out if, what you're serving is credible, how much you need to serve of this item. And there is a new grain tool on that page too, where you can put on the package, how the serving sizes and how many grams. The calculator will go through and it will tell you how many you need to get. So here's where you can find that food buying guide. And this is what it looks like on the app. And if you have trouble locating any of that stuff, please let me know. The new crediting handbook, it's not brand new, but it's pretty new. So if you do not have a copy of this, here's the address where you can find it. And if you have any trouble with that, please let me know. But it's also just a great tool to have when you're just trying to decide if something is credible or not. And remember, every year we're required to go over civil rights requirements. This is USDA. This is a federally funded program that you're participating in. So every dollar that you receive comes from the federal government, and when you receive federal money, you cannot discriminate for any reason, okay? So please make sure that you have that Justice for All poster posted. Make sure you have a copy of the civil rights complaint filing procedure on file and ready for review. Make sure there's no separation of your children in seating arrangements. I know that that's the only thing that I've ever seen that I've thought that might be a civil rights thing. Is I've gone in to one at lunchtime, and all the girls are at one table and all the boys are at one table, and stuff like that. So please try to encourage, not to allow that to happen. Keep them integrated. Okay, this is what a sample of the civil rights procedure form looks like. You should have one of these on file in your center. If you do not, let us know and we can get one to you, and then you can create your own if you would like, based on this information. There's 9 areas that this says family child care, but it's also for daycare centers. The goals is this: we just want to equal treatment for all applicants and participants. We want to eliminate any barriers that prevent or deter people from receiving benefits. We want the knowledge of rights and responsibilities, and you just want to show dignity and respect for everyone. Okay, even with our young ones. Okay, and especially with their parents. So these are some of the compliancy areas that we want to look at. All right, other requirements. Think about, are you organized? Guys, that's probably my biggest pet peeve with y'all, is some of you are just not organized. Please work on that. Do you have adequate space, equipment, and facilities for meal preparation, meal service, and dining? Are your foods maintained at proper food temperatures until food is ready to be served? Is there a thermometer in your refrigerators and freezers? Please go check right now. Go check. If you do not have one, you can go down the street to the Dollar General or to the Dollar Tree and get you one for $1.25 and stick it in your refrigerator and your freezer, okay? Do you have safety and sanitary practices used during meal preparation and service, okay? Do you have your Arkansas Department of Health inspection on file or posted on the wall for review? Remember that one person from your site must have a food manager certificate, and that needs to be on file or posted for review. And make sure that we have a copy of that. And I think that's good for like 5 years, but make sure that there's always a person on staff that has that done. The fire department inspection conducted within the last 12 months, and make sure your child care license is posted for review. Okay. Schedule meal times with 15 minutes of actual meal service. And I know things happen and you get busy and you get off schedule, and I understand that. But if you see that this is becoming an issue and you would like to change your meal times, we can do that. You just need to let us know. You need to let Mona or Kristen know that, hey, I need to adjust my meal times. This is just not working for me. And as long as your meal times still fall within the requirements, of 3 hours between main meals and 2 hours between main meals and snacks, I have no problem with that. The only time I have a problem is if you say we're having breakfast at 8 o'clock, I show up at 8 o'clock and there's no food being prepared, there's no food being served, there's nobody cleaning up food. That's when it gets frustrating. Or you say we're going to have lunch at 11:30. I show up at 11:30 and every child's asleep and there's no food to be seen. Okay? So yes, I understand that there's a fluctuation in time. You can't, always serve all the kids right on the dot. That's why I like to give you 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after. So if your meal time is 11:30, if I arrive anywhere from 11:15 to 11:45, I should see something. I should see you preparing food. I should see you serving food. I should see the kids eating, or I should see you cleaning up. They should not be all asleep by 11:45. Okay. The meal served contains all the requirement components and serving sizes, okay? Seeing labels on file for review, standardized recipes on file for review. Then the meal served match the posted menu and the production record, okay? Very important. These are things that we're looking at when we come out for a review. Do you have a temperature chart posted in your kitchen? Okay. We have to be very diligent to make sure that you're keeping the hot foods hot and the cold foods cold, right? So you should have some type of a poster like this. And this one came from ICN. I kind of made one that was like on half a sheet of paper that I laminated that I gave out a couple years ago because so many of you did not have these. But please make sure that you have some type of temperature chart posted. If you don't, print one out and hang it in your kitchen, okay? Please be organized. Be prepared for review at any time. Never take your records out of the daycare center, not the home, the daycare center. Document records every day at each meal. Maintain copies of your records and receipts for 5 years, okay? Remember, every dollar you receive from us needs to go directly into your food program. Make sure you have receipts and documentations on file to verify where all your money is going. We've talked about this in the past, but if the federal government comes out to do a review at your center, this is what's most important to them. Okay, they're not as inclined to looking at the kids and their enrollment forms and the income forms and all stuff. They want to see, you took this money, where did it go? Where did it go? So please, if you're not already using a program, make sure that you have some type of system. You're using some type of a spreadsheet to track it. You're using QuickBooks Online. You're using some type of a program to track it. Remember, keep in mind to track these are the things that you should be tracking. Your carryover. Remember, up to 10% you can carry over from month to month. What was your food cost for the month? If you receive $1,000 from us, 500 of that should be going to food costs for that month, at least. And for most of you, it should be more. We want to be serving the best food that we can possibly get to our children. So that's where the majority of your money should be coming from. You can also, so say that you've already bought all of your food and you still have money left over. Well, you can use that for paper products and kitchen supplies. You could use it for a cook's salary. We're going to skip the indirect costs, but you could use it for capital expenses that say, oh my goodness, the stove has gone out. I need to purchase a new stove. Well, then you need to write down how you're going to do this. Well, the stove costs me, $1,500. I'm going to take, $100 out of each claim for the next 15 months to pay this off, or however you want to do that. But you just need to have a system in place, and you need to have receipts to back up where the money's going. Okay, mileage and it changes yearly, so it's up to I think 60 cents a mile now. But when you drive out of town to go to the nearest Sam's to pick up food, and then you drive back, you can claim that. If you drive to go to a training, you can, and then you drive back. Okay. And the indirect costs are very difficult. So I would try to spend all of your money in the other places. And then if the time comes at the end of the year and you still had money left over, then you're going to have to get with your accountant and figure out your food preparation and service areas and the square foot and how much all that, so you can use your expenses there. But I'm just saying that's just more difficult to figure out. It's not impossible, but it's just more difficult. Okay. Email your claims in monthly to Mona by the 15th of the month. Okay. Centers at ar-children.com. This is so important. You signed a piece of paper when I signed you up that you would have it in by the 15th of the month. Okay. I know that there is circumstances where you might be a little bit late, and I understand, but also be aware that if it's 60 days late, you're not getting paid. You are not getting paid, okay? We cannot play this game anymore. Guys, y'all have got to stay on top of it. It's your job to get it to us so that we can process it and get you paid, okay? But if we do not submit it to the state in a timely manner, then they will not pay us. And if they don't pay us, we can't pay you. So please, please to be diligent and get those in by the 15th of each month, okay? I had mentioned Kid Care a couple of times, I think, to y'all, and I want you to know that it is available to you now. I have six centers that are currently using it and having great results. And I will warn you that it is time consuming at the beginning to get it set up. But once you get it set up, I think that you will love it. We have decided to invest in this and to provide it for you. You are not required to try it. You are not required to use it. It's just another tool that I wanted to provide for those that would like to use it. If you are happy sending your claim in like you are right now to Mona, if you're using the workbook and you love it and you're emailing that every month and you're being diligent about it, then just keep doing it the way you're doing it. But if you would like to try this online program, we would like to work with you. If you have interest, I would like for you to email Kristen and let her name the name of your center and say that I am interested in starting the onboarding process with Kid Care. And I'm going to quickly, if it works, I want to show you this just very short video. Please work. Okay. Well, me and my technology skills. Tell you what, email Kristen or myself if you're interested, and we will forward this video to you to watch. Okay, I want you to get a good grasp and idea of what it's going to entail before you jump in. But you will be able to log on to this program and have all of your kids listed, be able to manage everything on this program. Okay, it has all the tools. They have been in business for over 30 years. I have gone back and forth, wanting to try it, wanting not to try it. I feel like Arkansas has always been a little bit backwards with embracing technology. But I just feel like we've come to a time that we need to embrace technology. It's available. The next generation is going to be all about it. And if you're hiring on, new workers that are younger, maybe they can help you with this. But I do think that it's a great program. And if you're interested, please send us an email. We'll send you this video to watch, and then we can take the steps for the onboarding process. I will tell you that I don't want... it's not possible. So if 50 of y'all email me tomorrow and say, I want to get on Kid Care, it's not going to be possible. Okay. We will probably be able to onboard 3 to 5 a month because it is that much work to get it set up and get you trained and stuff. So keep that in mind. So say for October, maybe we'll try to onboard, 3 or 4. And then if we get more, then we'll say, okay, we're going to put you on to start November 1st, or we're going to put you to start December 1st. So if there is a time that you're like, I think I want to wait and start this the first of the year, but we can go ahead and you can start watching training videos and start figuring out how it works now. Okay. You'll see also on your training checklist about serious deficiencies. A lot of people have questions about that. That is just when you're not following the rules. Okay. So as long as you're following the rules, you don't have to worry about being serious deficient, and you don't have to worry about going through corrective action plans and all of those things. So those are set in place for people who break the rules, and that we try to work through it and help them so they can continue to stay on the program. Okay. So if you see information about corrective action, it's just a response. It's a plan of action. So here was the problem. This is my plan of action to correct this problem and to make sure that this problem doesn't happen again. Okay. Appeals procedures. That's something else we're supposed to make sure that you are aware of. And you should have received a copy of the appeals procedure when we when we signed you up. If you don't have that, or you've lost it, you need another one, let us know. Let us know, okay? So I feel like we've gone over all the key requirements to participate with us. I just don't forget to email me your training checklist to Nicole@AR-Children as soon as possible. Please have it to me by the 29th if you want that PDR credit. And then I need it by the end of the month to keep you in compliance with us, okay? If not, October 1, I'm going to be reaching out to you individually if I haven't heard from you, okay? So please watch this video, get those training checklists into me as soon as possible, and the Q&A. And while I have you here, okay, that concludes our training for today. I want to thank you for joining me. And thank you for all you do to support our children, healthy growth and development each and every day. Since I still have you here for a second, I do want to bring to your attention that next year things are going to go back to the way we used to do it. And I'm going to go back to doing in-person trainings. I plan on in the early spring, start planning those. And I'd like to come up to your area. So wherever you're located, I want to have some in Central Arkansas, some in Northwest, some in Northeast, maybe one in the South. So if you have ideas of where you'd like for me to do those, please, you can reach out to me at the first of the year. But I am going to be transitioning back to in-person training. So I look forward to seeing you at your reviews or seeing you next year in training. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate each and every one of you.